أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. السلام على أئمة الهدى ومصابيح الدجى. We again have the situation that we had in the beginning of this Ziyarat of Atf. I hope you remember our discussion on Atf. What Atf does is it takes what was before and it applies to what comes later. So although here you don't see the words Assalamu ala, it is implied. So when we say Assalamu ala a'immatil huda, we are again here implying Wassalamu ala masabihid dujaa. Although we're not repeating those words of Assalamu ala. Okay, so that's Atf. I won't go into more detail because we discussed it in the beginning of our discussions in the very first or second or third sessions. So here we are saying, peace be upon the Masabihid Dujaa. What is Masabih? What is Dujaa? Masabih is the plural of misbah. Misbah comes from the root word sabaha. Sabaha means when something becomes apparent in darkness. And this darkness can be both physical and spiritual. And when this thing becomes apparent, it leads to brightness. This brightness can be either outward or inward. Hence why Fajr is called Subh from the same root, Sabaha. Fajr is called Subh because from that time onward, something has appeared in the darkness of the night, and thereafter everything else gets gradually enlightened and illuminated by that brightness or the thing that has become apparent. A misbah is the name for the thing or the tool by which this brightness is brought or this something is made apparent. So in other words, misbah, we can say it means like lamp or lantern or light source or something like that. Dujaa. So masabih is basically lamps or lanterns. Dujaa is the plural of dajia from the root word dajaya. Dajaya means to overshadow, to cover, or to envelop. So, for example, it is said Daja al-Islam, which means Islam has spread. Or Daja al-Layl, the night has spread and covered everything, and darkness is widespread. So this line, Masabihid Dujaa, means peace be upon the lanterns which light up the darkness that has spread. Now, first question, what is this darkness? Which darkness are we speaking about? There are two opinions which Agha Jawadi gives, and he says these are not mutually exclusive. They can even be put together. There's no problem. One is, for example, the darkness of non-existence. Non-existence is dark. In other words, it doesn't exist. It's not there. It needs the light of existence to come into existence. It needs the Nur-e Wujud from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah gifts it the Nur of Wujud, the light of existence, and then it comes into existence. Otherwise, it is nothing. It is non-existent. It doesn't exist. Or it can mean the darkness of ignorance, disbelief, jahalat, kufr. And both of these can apply at the same time. So the explanation of this is as follows. The Imams are linked with Allah on one end, and they are linked with the rest of the creatures on the other end. They take the grace of Allah from one end and make it reach to the rest of the creation on the other end. Okay? So any grace which reaches any part of this universe, any grace of Allah which reaches anything, they are the intermediaries of it. Whether that is the existence which Allah gives, He gives it through them, meaning that He creates them first and then everything else is created. We covered this in a previous session. Or that, for example, everything needs the Imams to achieve their knowledge, their guidance, their awareness. This grace of Allah is, of course, not limited. It is unlimited. Knowledge and awareness is one part of this grace of Allah. This undoes, gets rid of ignorance and doubt, for example. And giving existence is another part of the grace of Allah. by which things come into existence. There is a hadith of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in this regard, where Imam says the following: لنور الإمام في قلوب المؤمنين أنور من الشمس المضيئة بالنهار. Subhanallah. The nur of the Imam in the hearts of the mu'mineen is more bright than the light of the sun in the middle of the day. وَهُمْ وَاللَّهِ يُنَوِّرُونَ قُلُوبَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And I swear by Allah, the hearts of the mu'mineen are made illuminated by the Imams. And then Imam goes on to say, وَهُمْ وَاللَّهِ يُنَوِّرُونَ قُلُوبَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَيَحْجُبُ اللَّهُ نُورَهُمْ عَمَّن يَشَاءُ. But then Allah, from some people, will shield some people from the nur of the Imams. فَتُظْلَمُ قُلُوبُهُمْ. And their hearts will end up in darkness, and they will be dark. So here Imam is saying that anyone who has the nur of the Imams in their hearts, this is like the brightest nur, more nurani than even the sun in the middle of the day. And Allah chooses some people who don't benefit from the light of the Imam, and that's through their own actions. Here, it doesn't mean that Allah discriminates or Allah has a vendetta against anyone. No, what it means is that some people have chosen not to benefit from the nur of the Imams. So, Masabihid Dujaa explains their relationship with everything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Qur'an says in 33:45-46, Ya ayyuhan nabi inna arsalnaka shahidan wa mubashiran wa nadhira. O Prophet, indeed we have sent you as a witness, as a bearer of good news, and as a warner, wa da'iyan ilallah, and as a summoner to Allah bi'idhnihi, by his permission, wa sirajan munira, and we have sent you as a radiant lamp. So here Qur'an itself is saying that the Holy Prophet, and thereby by extension the Imams as well, are all Siraj and Munira, radiant lamps. So this also confirms what we have just been talking about. Question: does everyone benefit from the light of the Imams? The answer is no, because there are certain conditions. Let's take an example. Someone who wants to light up his dark surroundings will have to go and take a light, a lamp, a lantern, a torch, a candle. He has to first be proactive and take it, turn it on, use it in the right way, use it in the right place. Then all of a sudden he will see what's around him. He will see there are different paths. And then he uses that to identify the correct path, and then he will have to traverse the path. So a person who wants to light up his heart and soul and achieve true guidance will have to come under the light of guidance of the Imams to find his own path and then traverse it. Not everyone will. People will deny the Imams. People will lessen the value of the Imams. They will not realize the value of the Imams. They will not give the Imams their full respect that they deserve, and hence they will not be able to benefit from the light of the Imams. And we have that in history. So many people at the times of the Imams, they didn't value the Imams, they didn't come under the light of the Imams, and hence their hearts remained dark, misguided, and ignorant. The Holy Prophet warns his nation in so many ahadith to never venture, for example, ahead of the Imams. If you go ahead of the Imams, you lose their light. If you lag too far behind the Imams, you lose their light. For example, the Hadith of Ghadir, he tells people, those of you who are ahead, come back. Those of you who have remained behind, come forward. That is a metaphorical way of saying that, yes, we want you to gather in one place, but also metaphorically, come under the wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So, for example, he says in Bihar, this is recorded, فَلَا تَسْبِقْهُمْ فَتُهْلِكُوا. Do not venture ahead of them, otherwise you will perish. Two more ahadith, which I have chosen. Man ahabba. This one is from Rasulullah again. Whoever desires to board the ship of salvation and to hold on to the strongest handhold he has no other choice except having love for Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and no other choice but to have enmity with Ali's enemies. And for his further guidance, he has to adhere to the forthcoming progeny and the children and the sons from the lineage of Ali alayhi salam. In other words, the Imam alayhi salam. In another one, he says, فَلْيَتَوَلِّ عَلِيَّ ibn Abi Talib. Whoever wants to gain this kind of nur and this illumination and guidance has to have love for Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, وَذُرِّيَّتَهُ, and for his offspring, his progeny, الطاهرين, the pure ones, أئمة الهدى, they are the Imams of guidance, وَمَسَابِيحِ الدُّجَى مِنْ بَعْدِ, and they are the lanterns which light up the darkness after him. Many Muslims, they say, what are you talking about, O Shias? We are also Muslim, we are also guided, we are also, for example, we also believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we believe in Islam, etc., etc. We don't believe in your Imams. We have the Qur'an, for example. We say, no, hang on a second. Qur'an and Ahlulbayt, they go together. As we say that Imams are Masabihid Dujaa, they are the lanterns of the darkness which has spread. We also say the same thing about the Holy Qur'an. فَآمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ 64:8. فَآمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. So have faith in Allah and His Apostle. وَالنُّورِ الَّذِي أَنزَلْنَا, and the light which we have revealed. In other words, the Holy Qur'an, and so many other verses. Hence, our conclusion and our belief is this. One is Qur'an Natiq, the speaking Qur'an. The holy Imams alayhimus salam are the speaking Qur'an. And the other is Qur'an Samit, the silent Qur'an, which is the book version of the Qur'an which we have. What joins these two things together? What is the common denominator between them? Well, that is because they are both linked with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allahu nuru samawati wal ard, and Allah is the ultimate nur. He is the absolute source of nur, which is the nur of all the heavens and the earth. So these two things are both nur themselves, and they make other things nurani. They make other things illuminated. A nice point with which we will finish is that Agha Jawadi says masabih is plural, lanterns or lamps. But nur is always one. You will never find the Qur'an talking about anwar. It always talks about nur, one. So how can we have lanterns plural but nur singular? He says, let's give an example. He says, look, you take a house. In this house, you will have so many different sources of light. You'll have bulbs, you'll have different maybe color of bulbs, you'll have different maybe intensity of light, you'll have, for example, different light bulbs throughout the house. You may have a smaller light, a larger light, a brighter light, a dimmer light, whatever it may be. But the source is always one. The electricity which flows into the house, that source of electricity is always one. You decide to put different types of light in different places, but the light is one. It may appear different at different times and different places. In one room, you want a lot of light. In one room, you want very dim light. That's up to you. But the source is the same. So the bulbs and the lamps will be different according to the time and place they are in. 50 years ago, our lights didn't look like this. They look different. Today, they look different. In future, they will look different. So the time and place may change the appearance of the light, but the concept of light is one, and the source of light is one. So the Imams alayhimus salam, they share one nur, but they sometimes show their nur in different ways. Sometimes they will show their nur as sabr. Sometimes they will show their nur as silence. Sometimes they will show it as ceasefires and peace treaties. Sometimes they will show it as battles. Sometimes they will show it as silence. Other times as speech. Sometimes in their du'as. Sometimes in their teaching. Sometimes in their training other people. Sometimes they will show it by staying in prison. But the reality is one. And the aim and objective is one. What is that? To guide people. To make people more illuminated. but it may appear different depending on the needs of the time. So every Imam is linked to the source of Nur, which is one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they may appear different in different times depending on what is required from them for that particular time. That brings us to the end of our discussion on Masabihid Dujaa. If there's any questions, then we can take them now, inshallah. Okay, there's one question. This is, I won't be able to answer this right now because this is going a bit far from our discussion regarding the verse of Nur. So this is more of a tafsiri question, which we'll have to look into tafsir regarding this. But the concept that we have discussed is, what our belief is in the Shia religion and the Shia mazhab. So that brings us to the end of our discussion on Masabihid Dujaa, and next session we will discuss A'lamit Tuqa. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.